Hello everyone, my name is Sparks21, and what you just saw right there was a technique that I am dubbing shard hopping. I had actually done a video on shard hopping in the past, however, that video was pretty bad. I didn't give very good examples, so I want to give better examples this time around. There's also some new things that I discovered along with it, so it's just going to be a complete do-over. So what is shard hopping? Well, it's simple, really. You hop into the air, you hit the rock with a dare, and the shards fly underneath you. Simple. There are two methods to shard hopping. The first method is the one I've been using this whole time. To do this, you need to pull a rock first, short hop, then immediately neutral throw. Just like that. Once you do that, immediately double jump afterwards. So, short hop, throw, and double jump. Once you've done that, you can start using dare. Just like that. It's worth mentioning that the timing for this method is fairly strict. It's not that bad, but it takes a little bit of getting used to. But once you do, it'll become muscle memory. The second method is much easier than the first. However, it's a little bit more situational. And the reason for this is because you have to be already falling. So you fall, and double jump down air. Fall, double jump down air. Simple. Now, both of these methods have their advantages and disadvantages. The advantage of the first method is that you can do it while grounded. That being said, this is a little bit tougher to do, and because of that, it can be fairly inconsistent. With this one, it's much easier, and only requires a double jump. However, like I said, you have to already be falling, so thus, this is most useful for edge guarding purposes. So you might be thinking, okay, well I get to move my shards out a little bit farther off stage if I want to send them at a downwards angle. How is that overly useful? Well, actually that is pretty useful, but the main advantage of shard hopping is that you can combo it into aerials, like so. As you can see, that Zetter got launched into my neutral air. That is true regardless of DI, and it can work until very high percentages. Now, I didn't do it in my first example of this, however, it's pretty important that you fast fall afterwards so that the neutral air connects as quickly as possible. As you can see, these combos also apply to the off stage. Now, here's a little nitpicky thing about shards. You see every single one of those shards? Those have hitboxes. On the left side, they'll send the opponent to the left. On the right side, they'll send the opponent to the right. However, that applies to each individual shard, which means if you hit them in the middle, it's very likely that where the opponent will be sent is completely random. Thus, it's better to aim for the edges when trying to hit the opponent with this combo, so that you know which direction they'll be facing. So, why is this important? Well, if the opponent is sent forward, you can hit him with a forward air. If the opponent is sent back, you can hit him with a back air. Neutral air will cover both options. But off stage, that won't give you that many benefits, and instead the most benefit you'll get is out of forward air. On stage, neutral air is by far the best option since you can combo it so easily. Now, I mentioned that this worked until very high percentages, and this is just to show that off. Now the nice thing about this is that there are many, many ways to bait out parries. The first of which is simply catching the rock. Another way is simply letting the neutral throw hit. And a third way is surprising them with an early attack. Now, obviously, there are a lot of weaknesses to this. As I discussed earlier, there's no real way to know where the shards will send them if they're hit right in the middle. However, if they're off to the sides, they can generally be sent one way or the other, but even that's fairly inconsistent at times. Another weakness to this is that if your opponent is below a platform, you'll land on that platform, which makes it very hard to drop through and combo out of. I'm sure it's possible, but I haven't tried it so much myself, because, well, there's just no point. Needless to say, it'll make it about 10 times harder than it already is. Now the third and biggest weakness out of all of them is that this is slow. You have to pull rock, go through your jump squat animation, do the neutral throw, double jump, and then hit it with a down air, and after that, wait for the shards to hit them. All of that amounts to roughly 80 frames at minimum. Now, obviously, there's some variance of how quickly the shards will hit them, but nonetheless, this takes a lot of setup, and because of that, it makes it harder to time, and your opponent has all the time to move around it. The thing is that it's useful at controlling space, sure, but the space it controls is fairly limited, which means your opponent can kind of move out of the way relatively easily. So, that's probably the biggest issue with this by far. In conclusion, I feel that this is mostly useful for off-stage purposes. That being said, although I'm skeptical of its viability, I do think it has some potential use, and I encourage my fellow, more experienced Kraggs to try and see where they can take it. Thank you all for watching. If you have anything to say about this, the comment section is the place to do it. I'll see you guys next time. Ciao!